Hey guys, let's talk a little bit about the vehicle identification number. This is super important if you're thinking about purchasing a vehicle. And the first thing you want to do is compare the VIN with the title number. The VIN is located very conveniently right on the A-pillar, and it is visible from the outside of the vehicle. And that applies to all C3 Corvettes from 1968 through 1982. VINs, by the way, change formats a couple times over the years. This one is referred to as a 13-character vehicle identification number. So this is an easy spot to verify the VIN if you need to. However, if you're looking at a vehicle, another place where you can find the VIN is in the door here. And over the years, unfortunately, because of repaints or restorations, this label is not the original, or it's been modified, or it's missing altogether. I have several examples that I've collected over time going to auctions, car shows, etc. So if yours is the original one, this one is, even though my car originally was silver, it was repainted red, but they managed to mask this one properly, except for that little corner there. Anyway, this one should have the vehicle identification number, and it has a few more things that are interesting. It tells you it's a passenger car, and it tells you also when the vehicle was manufactured. In this case, February of 1976. Now, this tag should be on the vehicle, but it shouldn't be confused with the trim tag, which happens to be located right in here. Anyway, this trim tag, all it does, it tells you when it was manufactured, the inside trim, and the paint. In this case, the original paint was, you can barely read this one, 13L. So that's the code. 13L is for lacquer paint. And then it has just some wording about GM and federal stuff and whatnot. The trim tag, by the way, will not have any VIN data. Now, what I do is, I always mention the Corvette Black Book. I have a couple of these. They're great to have. One thing that I usually carry with me, if I can find it, is a flashlight. The reason being is because if you're looking at a vehicle, like in this case in a garage, and there's bad lighting, well, this will help you tremendously. Now keep in mind that these VIN plates usually get, because of age, rusty, pitted. Sometimes they're very hard to read. But mine is, I cleaned mine when I was restoring the vehicle, and it is very, very easy to read. So again, a little flashlight will help you find information. Also, in passing, and I'm no expert when it comes to these numbers, back here somewhere, yep, down there you can see some numbers, almost very hard to read, but those are engine numbers, and I have no idea really how to interpret those. Now, one thing that I've done for myself, because there is a lot of important information when it comes to the VIN, what I've done is I kind of create a simplified form, it's 2 pages, that contains all the VIN information, how to decode, because there's been a few changes, 68 through 71, for example, 13 characters, and the same applies from 72 through 1980, 13 characters, but they were rearranged a little bit. And also in 1972 through 1980, they started including the engine VIN code by year. So, which was really, it should have been done since day one. It allows you to know if you have a base engine, if you have, let's say, the LAD2 or a big block, or it was supposed to have one. The VIN will tell you all of that. Then for 1981 and 1982, they went to the more current, what is the 17 character VIN. And this one, again, it has a little bit of additional info, things like the different assembly plans, because by then they were transitioning from Bowling Green. They were transitioning at the time from St. Louis to Bowling Green, Kentucky. So anyway, I was gonna create a PDF, which I actually created a PDF, but I have no way of really easily emailing that to people. So what I'm gonna do is I am gonna provide a link both in the description, and then I'm gonna also add that info to to my blog. I'll provide a link to that, 76vet.com, pretty easy to remember. If you want to download these 2 pages and use them, to identify a vehicle and just for general information. And the reason I chose to do it in this format, again, it's very simplified, but it's very clear as to what numbers you're going to be looking at and what they mean. If you have any comments or additional ideas on how someone can protect themselves as to, verify that what they're buying is what they're looking at. And again, a very problematic area could be, if someone is selling, and I think I've mentioned, you probably heard me a couple of times talk about the L48 versus the LAD2. It's not a huge thing, but still, if someone sells you a car and it says, well, it's got the emblems as an LAD2, and they just added emblems, and then you look at the VIN, like my car, it says right there, L, that's the L48, 6 is the year, S is the assembly plant. So again, you want to be well informed, and if you're buying something even older, like a 74, and if you're looking at a small block, and yet the VIN tells you that it should have been a 454, well, you can find out why. But again, this is all very important information that a buyer should have. So again, I'll provide a link to this paper that I put together. And as always, I strongly recommend getting a copy of the Corvette Black Book. These don't go bad because the data is always going to be the same no matter what year the book was updated, and it covers, beyond the C3s, of course. This one is all the way up to 2001, starting with the 1953 model year. So again, I think it's money well spent if you get your own copy. I always put this in my little photographer's bag along with my little info sheet on vehicle identification numbers. Okay, so let's do a little VIN decoding. I'm going to start with my 1976 Corvette to show you what kind of information you get out of the decoding process. The first character would be the number 1, which means the car was built by Chevrolet. The second character is the letter Z, and it indicates the vehicle is a Corvette. The third and fourth characters indicate that the car is a coupe. The fifth character shows it's an L, which is the L48 engine. The next character, a number 6, indicates the model year. 6 means it's a 76. The next character is the letter S, which means it was built in St. Louis, Missouri. And then you have characters 8 through 13, which is the production sequence. Now, don't get confused. This one says 421778. It doesn't mean that they built 400,000 C3 Corvettes for 1976. The 4 indicates how the sequence starts, and sometimes it changes from year to year. And the 21778 means that my car was numbered 21,778 out of a total of 46,558 Corvettes built for 1976. So anyway, I hope this has been informative and helpful to those of you who are looking to buy a C3 Corvette. So as always, thank you so very much for watching. Take care.